What's up, drone community? This is Carlos Valdez coming to you today with a video that I wanted to make specifically on drone flying for beginners. The drone hobby in of itself is exploding all over the world. I mean, every day there's more and more people buying drones and flying recreationally. Obviously there's also more Part 107, presence in the world, more folks. I currently myself am studying for my Part 107. I'm getting ready to schedule the exam, but my focus today really was on recreational flying and things that I think are important. I've been flying recreationally for almost 4 years now, and I've flown all types of camera drones, everything but really an FPV drone. It's not really my thing. The FPV is just not something I'm into. I like camera drones, so wanted to cover some things that I think are important or essentials when you're a beginner. How to make this hobby, successful, how to make it work for you, how to make it fun, and really how to be safe. That's really what the key is here: is how to be legal and how to be safe, because the FAA is really cracking down or starting to regulate things. Just in the last 4 years, a lot has changed. So again, wanted to make this video just about what I think is important as a beginner, what you should do, how you should start, and the things that I think are important, and also some tips that I personally use, or some things that I personally do with my drones that I think kind of just help with that scenario of flying safely. So I made a list of things that I wanted to just cover in this video. I'll try not to make this a long, lengthy video and not get into a long, lengthy discussion, but just kind of bullet out what I think is important. Now, I by no means am a professional. I'm sure there's tons of opinions out there and more things that you can do differently. These are just the things that I think essentially you should do when you start flying your drone and as you get into this hobby. I am on a lot of social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and a lot of the discussions that I have on there are many of them are from folks that are just getting into the hobby, and they all have the same kinds of questions. So I thought if I wrap this up in a nice little video, it might help one or more people. So again, this is not the end all be all video for droning for beginners, but this is just my opinion and what I think is essential and important. So I'll get right into it. So drone flying for beginners. So the very first thing that you need to do, even before you even buy a drone, okay, first you need to read, learn, and understand the rules for recreational flying. They're not difficult. They're not uh, super hard. They're not constraintful. They're not going to take away from the hobby, but you do need to be aware of what they are. It's on you as a pilot to know the rules for recreational flying. It's not on anyone else. It's on you. You are responsible, and you have to understand that you are potentially flying a device, an aircraft, an unmanned aircraft that can do damage to property or people. So you have to keep that in mind and be aware of what those rules are. And obviously, when you start flying, follow the rules. Don't make it hard in the future. Don't make this hobby any harder or any more regulated than it is. It's fairly easy to fly recreationally. It's pretty fair what you can do recreational with a drone without having to do any extra costly education like getting your Part 107 or going through that exam. So again, read, learn, and understand the rules for recreational flying. That's probably the single most important thing that you can do and that I can recommend. Be familiar with it. After that, of course, you need to take the trust exam. That's one of the rules for recreational flying. The UAS safety test, or the trust exam, it is free. It takes about 30 minutes. If you Google it, there's tons of providers out there, and you only have to take it once and it's good forever. So do that, get that out of the way. And then you go out and you start thinking about what kind of drone you want, right? My recommendation: buy a cheap drone first. You're going to crash. You're going to have oopsies with it. You're going to have mistakes that you're going to make. It's all part of the learning process. So don't go out and buy $1,000 drone for your first drone. That would be, in my opinion, kind of irresponsible, because you're probably going to run into something. It happens to the best of us. Maybe, maybe not. It's your money. But here's my advice. When you buy a drone, start with a GPS drone. There are, really a couple types of drones out there, two that I really classify, and that is a Wi-Fi drone and a GPS drone. Now, all drones use Wi-Fi in some way, but what I mean by Wi-Fi versus GPS is a Wi-Fi drone relies on a Wi-Fi signal back to the controller for image transmission and also signal, versus a GPS drone, like, of course, I'll say DJI, Altel, even Hubsan, which is another manufacturer. They use their own proprietary technology to communicate back and forth with the drone. That gives you a much better transmission signal and, more importantly, much better range, much less of a chance that you're going to lose signal. So buy a cheap drone, but don't go out and buy a Wi-Fi drone. For all intensive purposes, I mean, I own a couple of them and I'll fly them for fun. I don't care if I crash them. I go out in an open field and just have some fun with the kids or the family. But for my real droning, I obviously buy a more or use a more expensive product now. But don't spend all your money on your first drone, and don't get a Wi-Fi drone. Go get a GPS drone. Buy something like if you can, a Fimi. The DJI Minis are really, really good beginner drones to learn on. Specta makes a version of the DJI Mini 4K that's rebranded. So look up Specta. Good bang for your buck there. And some of the older drones are still very good right now. So go out and buy a drone, preferably a drone that uses GPS as opposed to just a straight Wi-Fi where the drone creates a hotspot and then your controller connects to that. I would recommend staying away from that unless you're really just, buying a $30, $40 drone on Amazon just to get your feet wet and see how it functions. The reason why I recommend against that is because when you do that and you buy a Wi-Fi drones tend to not have very good stability, and they're going to make you prone to make mistakes that you otherwise maybe wouldn't make with a GPS drone. Like, for example, I'll just use like the DJI Mini or Mini 2 or Mini 2 SE or Mini 4K. Basically the same drone, different cameras. Won't get into that. But the Mini series of DJI, the original ones, because they're a little cheaper now, they're going to fly very, very stable. So when you take off with a drone, it's going to fly very, very stable. And you're not going to have to worry about, like with a Wi-Fi drone, it's going to dance around on you. So if you're a new pilot just learning to fly, and then you've got a drone that's dancing around on you, and you're trying to not hit things or keep it near you, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to go too hard on the sticks as a beginner, and it's going to drift on you, or you're going to hit something. That's up to you, but if you spend a little bit more and still buy a cheaper drone, like one of the older mini series drones, at least you'll have some GPS stability. And as you're learning the controls and maneuvering, it's gonna, like you left, if you turn right or if you go to the right and you let off the sticks, the drone is generally gonna stop and hover right there, versus a Wi-Fi drone. Unfortunately, a lot of times if you go right, it'll just keep drifting right and you have to come back left and overcompensate. It just messes up the flying experience. And if you start with a Wi-Fi drone that's dancing around and not very stable, and then you move to something like a DJI or an Altel or any of the GPS based drones, it's going to really surprise you. You're going to say automatically, I should have started with this to begin with. I think it messes up the beginner's flying experience if you don't have a pretty stable drone. So that's just my advice on what drone to buy. So you read and you learned, you understand the rules for recreational flying, you took your trust exam, you went out and you got a drone. What else, right? Well, let's not forget, remote ID is a requirement. If you are going to buy a drone, make sure that it is, if it is over 250 grams, that you buy also a remote ID module for it, or that the drone is equipped with standard remote ID. This is all in the rules for recreational flying. Read up on it. You do need to be aware of it, but you do need as of September of 2023 to broadcast remote ID in some way out there. Many of the more popular DJI drones now have that built in already, where you don't need a separate module. But the older drones, like a lot of the mini series drones, you will need to purchase a remote ID module to affix to the drone via Velcro or double stick tape or something like that. So make sure you're compliant. You get your drone. If it's not already remote ID capable, then buy a module. It's an add-on, and be aware of that. The next thing you need to do, obviously, is you're going to go and register your drone. Now, if you want to, and excuse me 1 second, guys, I'm going to take a drink here. If you're going to go ahead and buy any drone, my recommendation to you is going to be register the drone. It doesn't matter if the drone, in my opinion, is under the 250 gram limit where it doesn't require FAA registration. I'm going to tell you to register it anyway, and here's why. First and foremost, because it's only $5. And to fly recreationally, you pay $5 and you could have 10 drones. I had at one point, 5, 6, 7, 8 drones on my recreational registration account. It doesn't cost you $5 per drone. It's just $5, and you can have as many drones as you want on there. So why wouldn't you? And to be honest with you, if you buy a sub 250 drone, a smaller drone that doesn't technically need to be registered with the FAA because it's under 250 grams, anything you add to it, like a remote ID module, is going to put it over the 250 gram limit. So you're going to have to register it anyway. So my advice, regardless of what the drone weighs, register it. It's $5. You're going to be compliant. And some of the other things I'm going to talk later on in this video, it will make more sense why I'm telling you to register the drone. So you bought your drone, you took the trust exam, you read up on the rules of recreational flying. Of course, you bought a remote ID, and then you went and you registered your drone. What else do you need to do? Well, one of the items, or one of the rules for recreational flying, is that you have to follow the safety guidelines of a CBO, a community-based organization. So there's a ton of them out there. I personally, I use the one from FPV Freedom Coalition. I think the way theirs is written is very, very easy to read. And essentially what it is it's a detailed description of the rules for recreational flying. That one is written in such a way that it's easy. You can go to their website. If you look up FPV Freedom Coalition and you download it, it's a PDF. And you can download it onto your mobile device. Keep a copy of it on there. You are supposed to abide by those guidelines. Read it. It's great reading material. It's great things to be aware of. You'd be surprised what you think is okay with a drone when you're flying. That's really not. And you'll also maybe be surprised some things that you think you can't do that you actually can do. So download that and have it with you on your phone, on your mobile device, is my advice. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later in the video as well. Now, what you want to do is, now that you've downloaded the CBO guidelines, the safety guidelines for a community-based organization, again, I recommend the FPV Freedom Coalition. There's 3 or 4 or 5 of them out there. You can go to the FAA website and search that, and it'll tell you what they all are. I'm recommending the one that I use because it's easy, I think, and it's well written and easy to read. So once you have that, when you get your when you register your drone on the FAA website, of course, you're going to get a registration certificate sent to your email that's also in PDF format. My recommendation is, and again, sorry, when you take the trust exam, you're also going to get a certificate or an authentication token certificate that's also sent to your email. So number one recommendation as far as credentials is take these items and put them on a phone, on a folder on your phone. So you're going to take your FAA drone registration card that gets emailed to you, your trust recreational safety test card that gets emailed to you, and then the PDF that you're going to download from FPV Coalition, Freedom Coalition, or whatever CBO you choose, and put those 3 items in a folder on your smartphone. If you have an Apple phone, I use the Files app and I just put it in a folder in there. I'm sure Android phones use a similar setup. Put it in a folder. label the folder drones, and that way, if you ever need to show your credentials to someone, you have them with you. You have them. 9 times out of 10, you're going to have your phone with you anyway when you're flying your drone. Have those items with you so that if anyone were to ask you for them, you can produce them, like a law enforcement officer or anyone. It could be, an FAA representative. You never know, right? So have them with you. That way you're showing that you are, 100% compliant and legal, and you know the rules. There's no better feeling when someone comes to question you, where you can pull out and say, no, I have all my credentials. My aircraft is registered. Here's my registration number. Here's my trust, certificate. Highly unlikely that that's going to happen in a recreational situation. But if you're flying risky, or if someone wants to question it, it's always good to have. Now that you've done all that, one thing that you're going to also have to do is you're going to have to label your drone. When you register your drone on the FAA website, you're going to get an FAA, a UAS certificate number is what they call it. And it's going to be like FA something, a bunch of numbers. And this is what you're going to want to put on your drone. Now, you can put these items, you can just take, for all intents and purposes, if you wanted to, a piece of masking tape and Sharpie the number on there and stick it on your drone. And a lot of people do that. They'll just Sharpie it right on the drone. I'm going to give you a different recommendation. I think that what you should do is, and I'm going to show you on one of my drones. This is my DJI Air 2S, and I have a skin on it. That's why it looks all funky and yellow. But you can go on Amazon and you can purchase drone labels, and they're very, very easy to buy. They're very inexpensive. I think you get 2 or 3 labels, or 2 or 3 sets of labels, and I think it was like $12 to $15. And this is kind of what they look like. They come, it says FAA registration, and it'll have my FAA registration number. They also come with a sticker that has, if found, reward if found, and you can put your phone number on there. And you get a couple sets. So if you have multiple drones, or you might want to have an extra, and they're peelable, they're stickable. You can get them in white with black lettering, black with white lettering. You can get them clear, you can get them gold, you can get them red. Search Amazon for drone labels and you'll see them. They're right there. So highly recommend that you do that, but you got to label your drone in some way. And again, going back to the sub 250, if you own a drone that does not require registration from the FAA, but you go and you register it anyway and you label it anyway, again, it just looks better. It just looks good on you as a responsible pilot, that you've taken extra steps that are not even necessary to prepare your aircraft for flight. And again, if anyone questions you, now you have your credentials, your aircraft is labeled. It just looks very legitimate, and there's less likely that someone's going to think you're up to something, that's shady or no good. So just make sure that, it's up to you, but I would recommend that you make it look more professional. Buy the labels on Amazon. They're really cheap. Again, my recommendation. So now you've labeled your drone. So now, okay, it's time to fly, right? We understand the rules for recreational flying. We took our trust exam. We went out and we bought a drone. We've registered that drone. We've downloaded the CBO safety guidelines. And we've gone ahead and we've put all that information on our phone, and we've labeled our drone. So now we're ready to fly, right? We've charged our batteries and we're going to go out and fly. So next thing, right? Go out and find an open area. Go to a park. Go to somewhere where there's no one around, where there's no one else around, no trees, no playgrounds, just out in an open field, and practice. Launch your drone. Go through every single option in the controller. Learn the drone. Learn the controls of the drone. There's a lot of options in there. There's options today from, let's say, my DJI Air 2S that I've had for over 3 years now, and there's options that I still have not used on that drone. I know they're there, but I still have not used them, which is hard to believe because I fly all the time. And some options you're going to use and some options you're not, but be familiar with your drone. Be familiar with what it's capable, what it can do. You'll be surprised there's some really cool stuff that these things can do now, that these devices can do. But you should just be familiar with how the flight controls work. What can you slow down? What can you speed up? What can you tweak, right? So really spend some time. Don't just go out and start flying around and go all kinds of crazy altitudes. No, just See how the drone flies, see how it hovers, see how it responds to the controls. Again, if you're a beginner, you're going to want to do this, and you're going to want to make sure that you know what your drone is capable of and how to do it. One other tip that I'm going to give you is 100% absolutely practice turning the drone around and facing you, right? So when you take off with your drone, make sure you've turned the drone around to face you as you're flying it, because everything is backwards. So learn to fly with the drone facing you as well, because at one point or another, you're going to want to turn that drone around and take like a droney or a selfie or something, and everything's opposite. So it can really throw you off when you're new. The Wi-Fi drones, or some of the really older Wi-Fi drones, they have something called headless mode. And I 100% advise against headless mode. To explain real quick, headless mode is basically when you turn that option on, the drone's heading is not the drone's heading. In other words, if I took off, it no longer has a head. So no matter what direction the drone is turning, if I took off and went forward and then I turned the drone this way and I have headless mode on and I hit back, it's not going to go like this. It's going to fly sideways towards me. In other words, it really just messes up the orientation of the drone, in my opinion, and especially for a beginner, you're not going to want to do that. So if you get a Wi-Fi drone, don't use headless mode. If you want to know more about headless mode, just Google it. It'll explain. Again, don't use headless mode. Just learn how to fly the drone. Turn the drone around. First practice with the drone facing away from you. It's going to be the easiest controls to learn. Up, down, left, right, sideways, right? And then turn the drone around and face you, and you'll see everything's kind of opposite. Go real slow when you do that. Make sure you're in an open field until you really have the hang of it. It's going to take you a few times. It's going to take you a couple batteries worth, maybe even a couple of battery cycles worth, if you have more than one, to learn how to do that. So now you've practiced, you got the hang of it. So now, right, I'm tired of the open field now, right? Let's go out and let's get some nice footage, right? So reminder, observe the rules of recreational flying, but within that, let's go get some nice video now, right? So next piece of advice, plan your flights, guys. If you don't plan your flights, if you don't plan what you're going to do before you take off, then it's just going to look like a bunch of garbly footage. It's going to look like you're just flying around taking pictures. And when you're first learning and you're new, that's going to be cool. But as you get into wanting to, really do some nice shots, produce some nice looking video or some nice looking pictures, plan your flights. And the reason, one of the reasons why I say plan your flights is because you're going to want to use things like Google Maps. Google Maps, the reason why it's good is because if you open it, or even, Apple Maps, Google Maps, some map app, you're going to be able to look at your area, maybe like in a satellite view or even in the default view, and you're going to see where there's areas where you can fly to within your line of sight, right? But that are not overly populated areas, because you can't fly over people, right? You can't fly over people recreationally. You can't fly over moving vehicles. So using something like Google Maps, let's say I go to a park and I want to fly around, I can explode it out in Google Maps and see, okay, there's another park over there, or there's an empty parking lot over there, or you can kind of see where potentially there wouldn't be people and cars, which is kind of illegal or is illegal for you to fly over. So you want to make sure that no moving vehicles and no people. Google Maps is a nice way to kind of plan out, where am I going to go? Where am I going to position my drone so I'm in a safe area and flying legally, right? There's other apps you also want to use, like Dronecast or a UAV forecast. That's going to tell you what the wind is like, where you are geographically, not where you at home, but you might be driving 20-30 minutes to a spot to fly. You're going to want to know what the weather's like in that spot. Well, Dronecast, UAV forecast, they're free apps, and they'll tell you that. They let you punch in an address. Now, in my opinion, the end all be all is Aloft. If you use Aloft air control, just download that and it's free. That's going to cover everything you need. Aloft air control, when you download it, first of all, you can see weather. So you can, kind of go right on the map where you're going to fly, or you can punch in, where you're going to fly, and it'll tell you what the weather conditions are right there. In addition to that, it's going to tell you what kind of airspace you're in. So, Generally, you want to be in uncontrolled airspace. So if it's controlled airspace, the Aloft app, air control app, is going to tell you that. And if it does tell you that, it allows you right then and there to apply for a lank. And a lank, I won't get into a lengthy discussion about this, but a lank is basically where you're asking for permission to fly in potentially a controlled airspace area. And it takes literally 30 seconds to do. You go right in the app, you select the area that you want to fly, the altitude that you want to fly, which is going to be 400 feet or less. And you fill out the credentials. Literally takes 15 to 20, or maybe 30 seconds. And you submit it, and then you get auto approved. Like, it'll send you a text message within minutes. Hey, yes, you are now approved to fly in this area from this time to this time at this altitude. And it'll send you a text. And again, just another way to prove, hey, I'm legally flying. Now, if you go to your fly spot, wherever you're going to fly, and you open up the Aloft air control app, and you try and get a lank, and it's an area where it's uncontrolled airspace, then it's going to tell you that a lank authorization is not needed. So you can see that right in the app anyway. So you'll know if you need to ask or fill out a lank permission to get authorization. Otherwise, it's going to be uncontrolled airspace, and you're going to be able to fly so long as you follow the rules for recreational flying. So download Aloft Air Control. It's pretty much the all-in-one solution, in my opinion. It's really all I use. I also have Dronecast on my phone, but I really use Aloft for everything. So what else? Other tips that you're going to want to follow. Okay, first of all, this is not something that you have to do, but I'm a big fan of make sure you play the part. Make sure you are being a responsible flyer and doing everything you can to portray that you're being a responsible flyer, both by your actions and by the things that you've done to prepare. One of the things I forgot to mention is that the FPV Freedom Coalition CBO guidelines has a nice pre-flight checklist in their document. And that's a really great thing to review for pre-flight checks, things to check, things to make sure that you have done before you fly every flight. That's just another way or another thing to a good reminder of the things that you should check for, like check your propellers and check your aircraft and all that. So forgot to mention that. But when you get all your credentials, your trust exam, your FAA registration and all that, one of the things I'm going to recommend is that you go out and you get your trust registration card and your FAA UAS certificate on a cart. If you go to Amazon and you Google drone labels, one of the options that I spoke about earlier about drone labels is that they also will give you, they will make a card for you. So this is, for example, this is my card, and it's got the FAA seal on it, small UAS certificate of registration, who I am, what my registration number is, when it was issued, and when it expires. And what's nice about this is that on the back of the card, and this is a nice plastic credit card looking thing, it's not paper, right? But on the back, you've got the rules for recreational flying. So again, another good reminder. And going back to what I said earlier, someone asks you for your credentials, you pull something like this out, the rules are right on there. And if you're, flying within those rules, again, you're just going to look like a very responsible flyer. So highly recommend that you get this. You can get this with the same labels that I talked about before. Those labels here, they come as a package, again, like 15 bucks. And then you can also get your trust card. This is my trust certificate where I took the trust test. It's got my authentication token right on there, who I am, who issued it to me, which was Drone U on October 4th, 2021. And again, on the back, rules for recreational flying are listed right on there. So, I've got this document with me. I've got this document with me. Usually what I do is I put them together like this, and I just drop them in a lanyard, and that's how I fly. I don't necessarily wear the lanyard, but I have it with me. Again, this is something that I'd recommend if you have more than one drone. Buy a couple of these and keep both of these in your drone case. Again, preparation is everything. It can only make you look really, really good as a pilot if you have everything ready to go if you're questioned at all. Other things that I would recommend that you do: buy at least 2 SD cards. If you're buying a drone that requires an SD card, and most drones today don't have a ton of onboard storage unless you're buying something really high end. So most of them are going to require an SD card. I'm going to tell you right now, big piece of advice: buy more than one SD card. I would recommend that you always just get an extra SD card and put it in your drone bag. I can't tell you how many times I have gone out to fly and I've come home and I've taken the SD card out of my drone, popped it into my computer to go and get that footage and start editing it up and everything. And then I go and I fly again the next day and I didn't take the SD card out of my computer. And now I've either A, got no onboard storage on my drone, or B, it's not enough for me to capture as much. Maybe I want to fly 2 or 3 batteries worth, and it's not enough space on my internal storage. So by having an extra SD card in your drone bag, when, not if, but when, because it will happen, when you forget your SD card, you can just pull your extra one out and pop it right in. I always would recommend every drone that you have, if you have more than one, buy an extra SD card and put it in your drone bag. Extremely, extremely important. You'll get caught without one and you'll hate it. I've been in that situation and I learned my lesson, and that's why I do it the way I do it. The other thing I would say is, excuse me, get a hard case for your drone. Most drones right now are coming with, something like this. This is from an Altel that I used to have. And it's a soft case. This one's kind of big. I used to have an Evo Light Plus. It was a big, big drone. But this one's kind of big. Most of them are a lot smaller than this. They're compact. And they are nice bags. They have some padding in it and everything. But what I found with this type of bag, and most of the bags that are like this, is that it's not that the bag is not durable, because, this is nice and, kind of withstands the water real good and everything. But what happens is, when you're putting your drone and everything in there, it's just not organized, and your propellers are getting in the way, and propellers are really, really delicate, guys. And when you're sticking them out and putting them in, I am a big fan of a hard case. So I'm going to recommend, go on Amazon and purchase a hard case for your drone. So I'll give you a couple of examples. This is what I mean by a hard case. This is, relatively inexpensive. They're anywhere between $25 to as much as, $100. If you're paying more than $100, it's unnecessary. I mean, really, $50 or less is what you should be spending for something like this. You don't have to go name brand. These things are durable. You can stand on it. You can throw it across the room. They're typically waterproof, weatherproof. They're great. And what I wanted to show you guys is, I have a DJI Mini 3 Pro, and everything kind of fits real good in there. The drone's in there nice and snug. You got my controller on there, my extra batteries, my charging hub. I've got everything that I need for my drone, my cables and everything, and it's in this nice hard case, and I'm not struggling to put it in or take it out. It comes right out, goes right in, because everything is these cases are sold specifically for a drone in particular, like this one was for the Mini 3 or Mini 3 Pro. If you have a drone that they don't specifically make a case for, they do have these types of cases with the peel away foam, and you can kind of peel away what you want and custom mold to your type of drone as well, and it'll be perfect, and it's going to be much, much safer and more convenient for you. Another example that I have is that this is my Specta Air drone, and again, just another example, right? I've got my drone, I've got my 2 batteries, my controller, my charger, all my cables, and I've got space up here for my registration cards and anything else, extra propellers or anything. So point is, go out and buy yourself a hard case. You'll thank me later. It's much easier to transport your drones that way, and they're more secure. Those shoulder bags are good for travel. Like when I take my Mini, I have a little tiny bag that it came with that I take it when I'm traveling or something. But for your everyday, day-to-day, going back and forth with your drone, get a hard case. Very, very important. And then the last thing I wanted to cover is, now you went out, you bought your drone, you're comfortable flying, you start taking great shots and footage and pictures. Get yourself a nice editing app. They're not expensive. There's a lot of free ones out there. I personally, I use Lightroom. I use Adobe Lightroom. There's a free version. I pay the $9.99 a month for the premium features because it gives me more storage, and then I can use, Lightroom Classic on my desktop computer and Lightroom Mobile on my phone or my iPad, and everything uploads to the cloud, and I can sync it back up. So I love Lightroom. It's got plenty of options, and the pro version or the paid version, $9.99 a month, gives you a lot of nice filters from the Lightroom community, which are, I mean, to be honest, far better than what my editing skills are. I'm learning how to edit, but here I am 4 years later and I'm still not great at it. I'm not a photographer. But Lightroom is very easy to use, but has a lot of those, if you're into it, a lot of the professional options, but it's not overcomplicated to use. Another one that I use if you are going to be, Lightroom works for editing pictures and editing video as far as how they look, for adding color grading or different filters. But if you want to stitch videos together, and have them come out, still in 4K quality, I would recommend. I use Filmora Wondershare, I believe it's called. Let me just double check that for you guys. Yeah, Filmora Wondershare, and it was like $40 for the year. And I stitch my videos together. Like if I have a bunch of small edits, small, 20-30 second videos that I've cut around, and I want to stitch them all together with some transitions in between the scenes and everything, Filmora Wondershare is a great editing software. There's tons of them out there. Don't knock me for using Filmora, please. You use what you want. I'm just telling you what I use that works good for me, and it's good enough for what I'm doing. I'm not trying to do professional drone footage. I just like really crispy pictures and video, and that's what I enjoy. And really, that's it, guys. I'm going to go ahead and quickly do a recap. I know this video has gone way longer than I wanted it to, but hopefully I'm providing some really good information to you guys. But just as a really quick recap, read and understand the rules for recreational flying, take the trust exam, buy a cheap drone, but make sure it's a GPS drone. Make sure it has remote ID or buy a remote ID module. Register your drone on the FAA website. It's $5 and well worth it. Download CBO guidelines, community-based organization safety guidelines. Again, I recommend FPV Freedom Coalition. Great one. Put those things in an item on your in a folder on your phone. Have those credentials with you at all times on your smartphone electronically. Very easy to do. Label your drone. I don't care how you label it. I recommend the Amazon labels that they have, but make sure your drone is labeled. And then go practice. After you practice, plan your flights, go out, get your nice footage. Use apps like Google Maps, Dronecast, UAV Forecast, or again, Aloft Air Control is probably the best that you can use. And then, of course, get your trust cards if you can, and your FAA ID card. Get them in the card format. Well worth the money on Amazon to do that. Buy at least 2 SD cards. Make sure you don't get caught without one. You'll regret it. Get a hard case for your drone, and of course, download a good editing software so that you can tweak up your footage and your pictures. That's all I got for this video. I hope that this really helps somebody. Hopefully I've provided some tips on what a beginner should do. There's probably more things out there that others can recommend. This is just what I recommend. Again, I hope this helps somebody. This is a great hobby. I love it, and I don't have any plans to stop flying anytime soon. So if I can help anybody, or if you have any questions for me that I can answer, help you out in any way, I'd love to do that. Not really a YouTube personality or someone that does a lot of YouTube videos, but I do a few. So if you like my content, subscribe, and any questions, just post them down below in the comments. And outside of that, as I always end my videos, happy flying, guys.